What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download their app. Be sure to use promo code CHGO when you sign up. So close to gambling on football again. So close. I'm Pack. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Pack. Join my guys here in studio. Big Dave, BAWL Sports. Will, the GOAT, Gottlieb. Will_Gottlieb. We are CHGO Bulls. Sarah on the controls today, and
she's dope.
Very pleased to welcome back to CHGO Studios. You know him as the Bulls TV play-by-play man, in addition to his duties calling MLB and NFL games for Fox Sports, the one, the only, Adam Amin.
Hey.
What up?
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
You guys are adorable.
Thank
I love
you,
it
sir.
so much. You guys make me feel so welcome. I love it.
Thank you.
You guys are the best.
Can I mess with Adam for 1 second?
Oh, boy.
Please do.
Can I do this? When I pulled up today, and I'm pulling in, and I saw Adam, walking down. It's like, oh, man, there go Adam and me. Rolled down my window like I was cool, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yo, Adam. Adam just looked at me, kept stepping.
To be fair.
Adam big time me.
To be
Said, how
fair.
dare you, little fella.
To be fair.
Look at me in my general direction.
I had sunglasses on.
Fair.
I had headphones on.
Fair.
And I had no idea where I was.
Oh, and I didn't have my hat
trying-
on. So I know he was actually confused.
I was
Like,
trying
what-
very hard to look at. I was like, where is this street?
I wouldn't have
was
recognized you without a hat either.
I was here one time. I've been here one time. I have no clue where I am. I'm slightly confused.
But when
so
I-
I did. But then I was like, it's freaking Dave,
Yeah.
man. It was Dave the whole time.
It was. I put my hat on, and then I stopped again, and I was like, Adam.
And then I looked at the car. Well, because you were on an angle too.
Yes.
Because your windows are a little darker, so I couldn't see
Yes.
through the front one. I was
Yes.
like, I thought I heard something, but I don't know if I hear you or if I hear whatever I'm, the podcast I'm listening to.
Right.
So I'm like, I do that a lot now because
Just head on a swivel.
I'm constantly moving my head left and right because I think I'll hear something and I'll be like, you narcissistic ass. What's wrong with you? Nobody gives a damn that you're here. And then the one time somebody will be like, Adam Amin, and I'll be like, they didn't say anything. And then I'll double check, and then it'll be a person with a half a sad face looking because they think I'm completely ignoring them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, and I have to turn around and run
Oh,
back
you were
and
talking to me.
I was like, I apologize
Also,
for my
do
own
not
confusion.
feel an ounce of guilt for this crap that Dave is throwing at you right now because
Dave is feeling a little sensitive
I
today.
call after him constantly when he doesn't hear me because he has headphones in. And I often don't know that he has headphones in because of all the hair, all the gorgeous hair.
Yeah.
And they're it's masked that he's wearing headphones.
And these are black
So I
also,
think he's just ignoring me all the time.
Yes.
But he walked in today, and you got up, gave him a big hug, and then
Yeah.
about 10 seconds
then
later,
what happened?
Dave
Literally
Dave
never
was,
does that.
Dave was convinced that you didn't do that.
He didn't
for me,
do
'cause
it
I
for
walked
me.
in. I walked in with Dave.
Yeah.
I was right behind you,
Yeah.
and I didn't think Matt had seen
Matt
me.
said, Dave,
100%,
out of my
Adam.
way.
Adam, 100%. He did not do that for me.
That's kind. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a little upset by that because there's something. I really want to believe that every time any one of you walk in, the other two get up, walk over.
Yeah, when I make my
and
way
give them
to
a hug.
him and I get to his corner where he is, then he stands up.
Then he
and then he says, well, thank
"Oh,
you,
he doesn't
like that.
rush over."
No rushing over. You know what I'm saying? No getting out of his chair.
A lot of me, there's
"Oh,
a big
my
part of me that's like,
now my guy Chris
I'm
does
picturing it.
that. My guy Chris over there, he gets up and he rushes over. He sees me. He's like, hey, Dave's in the building. Let me go say what's up to my guy. He does it all the time. Matt, though, he'll just say, now you come to me, and then I will get all this love that you have, sir. But I will not go to you
You
to
have to earn the
receive that
respect
love.
of the Godfather over there.
That's
I
what it
guess,
is,
or-
man. It's what it is.
That's what he had to do. Well, I waited for you though. So I waited for you to get out of your car, and I was like,
You did
I'm gonna
wait
give
for me
this
to
man
get
a
out
big
my car.
hug.
He did. This all happened in the street in public. So, yes.
It was really nice. It was a
Yes.
really nice moment.
Hey, man,
It
if
was.
you're telling me
I'm glad
that
we
you
shared
want
It was a nice moment, Adam.
more eager hugging coming from my direction to yours, you just say the word. I just try not to overstep the bounds of how often I want to hug you.
Now,
right?
that's fair. If I gave Matt that permission, Matt would hug me all the time. That is very
This is
true.
why boundaries are created.
This is
This is what it
true.
is. This is why it happens.
We were at Summer League, last month. We got to hang out with all the other people from our ALLCITY network in Denver and Phoenix. All of them say the same thing. They're like, "Yo, Big Dave is the best hugger on the planet." And I'm like, "Yeah."
I
Imagine
look
getting
forward
those
to
like
it.
4 or 5 times a week.
I look forward
Big
to it
Dave's
every
hugging
time.
prowess is well reported.
Yes,
It happens. It happens maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and I look forward to it every
Thank
time.
you, Adam. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. It's very kind. Very, very kind. I know Adam Amin.
Adam Amin's here. We're going to get Adam's thoughts on the Bulls offseason, the season ahead. But before that, we did also want to talk to you about what, in case you don't follow Adam on Instagram, you can, at Adam Amin, what appears to be rejuvenated hobby of yours in the world of live music and DJing. Can you please just let us know? Sarah's going to share some stills from people watching along on YouTube. It sounded from something else I saw from you that you used to be really into DJing, and then it sort of took a backseat to your career, but you've rediscovered it, and you've been spending a lot of time this summer when you have time DJing just for fun, and then also sometimes at concerts. Where did this DJing stuff come from?
It was something I did for a long time. When I told the story a little bit earlier. When I was 12, I got a B96 CD for my birthday, and a year later, after my brothers got tired of hearing me constantly play it over and over again, they bought me turntables and a mixer, and I started doing it when I was 13. Another brother of mine was a wedding DJ and did like weddings and bar mitzvahs and worked for a company and like a service. So I eventually got to do weddings and parties and things of that nature, and I did everything in my high school and did a bunch of stuff in college, and it was basically how I paid for like my freshman year of college.
Wow.
A lot of that money came from doing this stuff.
Wow.
So damn talented.
Through high school and stuff. So, and then eventually I had to stop, or at least it took a huge backseat when I started this career, which I'm thankful and fortunate to have. And when you get a little bit of time and you need a break, and I wasn't feeling burnt out or anything by any means, but it's always nice when you get to about the end of NBA season and I go pretty much right into baseball, and I need a little bit of a buffer, something creative, an outlet. I'm sure all of us feel the necessity to find something other than just what we do for a job, because when you do something for a living, even if you love it, and I know you guys love this, I love my gig, it's still, there's weight on it, additional weight that comes to it, because it's like, well, I have to do this because it, I get paid to, or it takes care of my family, whatever it is, for any number of obvious and logical and perfectly understandable reasons. So just to have something that has essentially no stakes to it whatsoever, like doing this is, for me, it's for fun. It's just something that I've enjoyed getting to do again in a creative way. And it's fun to do it in front of other people and to do it with people that like the same kind of music or appreciate the type of vibe you're setting up with the music that you play. Like, it's nice to be around that. And, it's going to go away eventually because, well, as we were talking about, like, we're basically 10 days away from the start of football. Like, the Hall of Fame game's tomorrow. Like, we're a week and a half away from Bears Titans that we'll have locally here in Chicago. Like, it's here. It's already here. I've got a baseball game tomorrow. I've got USA basketball on Monday. And then an NFL game next Saturday. Like, we're back into the grind of it. So it was nice even for a couple of months to have something to just do that wasn't this.
Are you completely self-taught? You said your brothers got you the turntable?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't
crazy.
as much information out there when I first started doing it.
Right.
And I remember going to like a British website of some like pub DJ in London, and he had a blog, and I learned how to do it by reading this blog.
Wow.
And he would just detail like, well, here's the equipment that you have, and here's what this, fader does, and here's what this volume thing is, and here's what this pitch does, and here's how the sound is going to change when you manipulate this. And I just watch it. You didn't have access to like this stuff on YouTube, like, which again, I shot this with some of the guys who do content for the Bulls. They are incredible and talented and creative people, and it's just as much a showcase for what they can do as what we got to do musically. But I feel like there's so much information out there now, so many ways to learn. You can watch a TikTok video and learn how to do any number of things on this planet. And at the time, there just wasn't that same level of resource available. So a lot of it, I wouldn't say self-taught, but a lot of it is just trial and error.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of relearn a lot of the stuff now because the technology is completely different now than it was when I first started doing it, or even when I stopped doing it. So it was kind of a brand new process for something new, which also, I think, hit the creative spot that I was trying to hit. Like I was trying to learn something new. So
I have so many questions. I'm a music dude. I have so
all
many
good.
questions. I'm going to try to keep them short. One, why do you choose earbuds over the usual over-ear headphones? Because usually most DJs go over the ear, but you're going with earbuds. I
saw a DJ, I think his name is James Hype, and he was using those, and I have those because those are the same things I use for TV. Like,
wow, okay.
And I happen to have them. I was like, well, let's try it and see if it works. I really liked it, and the big thing for me was like, I also know I'm not in my 20s anymore. Like, I'm 36. Like,
Turn it down, kids.
like that, those things are in my ears, which shield so much more noise. And that's like just old man in me more than anything else. So it's just like
dual function as also just earplugs.
Basically, yes. There was the first like show I went to. So two of the guys that really helped me out are two guys that are DJs at the Bulls games, DJ Flipside and DJ Metro.
Shout out.
Yeah, Flipside and Metro. Vince and Chris, two incredibly talented individuals. Chris is about to get ready to play Lollapalooza tomorrow. They were both kind of giving me a little bit of advice, and as I tried to, as I would go shadow them, they were cool enough to come to this gig and watch me do this in person. So I watched, and the first thing that I did was go to the sound guy and go, "Do you have any earplugs?" I feel like the oldest, least cool person in this, but I swear I'm not even. I don't like going to clubs.
Yeah.
I don't
who
like
does?
it. I don't.
Young
enjoy
people, I guess.
I
Never did.
It's the same way, and people are like, "Well, why do you do?" It's the same way I say I actually don't like going to games as a fan that much. Like I'll go if company's
I'm
good,
so
if
with
you're
you.
with your friends, all that
So
stuff.
with you.
But like I don't like going to games that much. But I love calling games. I don't like going to clubs, and like I'm kind of an introvert in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm kind of antisocial at times,
hear
but
you.
I love the music and performing in this fashion. So I'm a performance junkie, basically. It's not. I mean, this is what we talked about last summer, right, with our musical theater backgrounds
Yeah,
and things like that. Like, this is the type of stuff that I just like performing, and broadcasting and this thing happen to be like the two outlets that I am comfortable doing it.
So the type of music that you'll go to, what is it for you?
It's I'm from, when you're from here, you've listened to house music.
Yeah,
if you're
it
from here, you're you're very liable to become a huge fan of it. So for me, it's house music and then variants of it. And the thing I like to do is try to find other things, other genres. Like, this is what open format DJs do. Like A-Track is like one of my favorite DJs ever. Like, he's incredible. Yeah. Like, bringing other styles and other genres of music, acapellas from other genres, things that people I like kind of a big tent. You know, I like having music that I like, but having hooks or acapellas or lyrics or stuff that I know everybody likes or a lot of people like, so that they kind of turn around and go, well, that's interesting.
Right.
What is this?
Right.
And maybe you hook them for a few minutes at a time, and it's like,
the beat.
you try to expand. Like, it's very much like it's like a microcosm of like what I am as a person. Like, I like doing a lot of different sports, and I like doing, I like a lot of different styles of music, and I like a lot of different foods, and it's just I like experiencing a lot of different things.
A lot of our Bulls fans watching along in the comments. Happy to see you here. Everybody giving you some love. Also, Anthony's curious if your guy Stacey King has given you a DJ nickname yet. The king of nickname
What a
giving.
good question.
Good question. Yeah, that's
He
a very good question.
is not. He loves it too. By the way, he thinks it's really funny. Like Mark Brady, our producer, came out to one of the events I was playing. I was like taking video and sent, and he, the three of us are in a group chat, so we're always constantly talking about something. And every day there's a new meme or a GIF or a video that Stacey created where our heads are on different people's bodies from different scenes in different movies. That is now in the group chat. People have asked me that I don't have the time or the energy to manage a persona. So it's just like, this is who I am, and I do this one thing and I do this other thing, and it's just the same guy doing it. I'm just gonna go home after it.
I'm identifying with so much of what you're saying.
Speaking of separating work life and things you do for fun, our guy Clem, shout out Clem over in France, wants to know if you ever splice in any Ray Clay or Sirius by Alan Parsons project into what you're spinning.
It just seems like
is
a
that
logical.
too much like work life entering.
I almost
fun?
feel like the
You can't.
streams are crossing a little bit too much at
Right,
that point. It's understood, but it's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. No,
I
not
did
at all.
tell Stacey that if I ever got to play like a really big show at some point, just in the future, 5 years from now or something like that, where I had to create visuals for it as well.
Yeah.
I would ask Stacey to do the intro for it, because I think it would be really,
That'd be really
I think it'd
cool.
be really hype. I
That'd
think
be
it'd be. I mean, the man knows how to get a crowd into it.
So what's the dream gig for you? Like, what's the place you want to play?
I mean, I don't know if there's much of a dream gig for this, just because I don't know what it would be. Like,
'Cause I can't see you at the Chosen Few, bro. I can see that happening.
I mean, I would love to like just to play like a Lollapalooza type of event, like just a big festival or a big concert or something. It doesn't. I'm not delusional or something like that. This isn't a midlife crisis or something that I'm like I'm giving up my broadcasting career to go focus on this thing.
Yeah.
It's more so just like I would love to keep doing it because it's something I enjoy. It's a really, really fun creative outlet for me. I've met a lot of great people through it, which is just fun too. Like it's nice to kind of expand your horizons and meet new people as well. And if I could do it during the summertime or even during the season, like if there's a random day, but just have a spot somewhere in the city where you get to play every week or every couple weeks or a couple times a month. I think that'd be like ideal.
I like that.
Do you find DJing or broadcasting to be one more challenging than the other in a specific kind of way? Talking just a little bit about the blend and crossovers of various types of performance. I've seen some of your diligent note-taking and prep work for when you're about to call a game.
Yeah. My God.
I feel like I do prep work for our shows, and I see your prep work for a broadcast. Lord. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe DJing is a bit more improvisational. Is that accurate? Does one take more work than the other?
I think the same way that you have confidence being improvisational during a broadcast is when I feel the most prepared, when I have enough of a background or enough information to work off of. I think a lot of it is just entry points.
Yeah.
So the more you prep, I think if you know the sport, you can walk in and call a game. It's not it's not rocket science by any means. The reason we prep is to have context and to have an understanding as to why things happen, and so we can maybe give a better feel of the story of a game over the course of a night. I think it's more engaging, and it's subtle. It's not stuff that most fans would worry about or think about that much. But if you like somebody or you like the style with which they broadcast, if you like Stacy, it's because his energy comes from a certain place that matches something that you're thinking about. If I do something or if I say something or have a good call or have a good story or something that connects with an audience, that comes from a place of preparation. Like for me, that's where that comes from, to know why something is important, to add the right amount of energy. And I'm not saying I get it right all the time. Nobody does. Yeah. But that's the goal, right? You're trying to create that. The only reason you can do that, though, is from some level of understanding. So for the music side of it, it is very improvisational. You're doing a lot of stuff on the fly, but you can only do that if you know the music itself, you know the track itself, you know where the ins and outs of the track are. When the break comes up, when the vocal comes in, the last thing you want is to have two songs with vocals clashing with one another. Like that just sounds bad. If you're at a club, if you're in a bar, if you're hanging out at home, it sounds bad. So how do you avoid that? You got to know when it is, when it comes, and it's the same way. That's the crossover of it, and then the difference is what you said, Matt. I think there's a lot more improvisation when it comes to the musical side of it.
Do you have anything that you're specifically working on to improve or hit some sort of goal that's I want to be able to do this aspect of it?
I think if I see somebody do something, I go, can I do that? Is that cool? It's like I want to try it, and then I fail miserably at it, and then it's yeah, I'm not gonna do that. And then I go I didn't know how to scratch for years, or I thought I did and I did not. And then I mentioned Metro, Chris. He taught me one trick, and it completely blew my mind. And I was like, oh, that's how I should have been doing it for the last 15 years of my life. So I learned something new and got to apply it, and I feel much more confident about it now than I did before. So I like learning new things. A lot of it, though, is kind of experimenting with this song or that song, or let me go back and listen to this Prince song, or this song from Belle Biv DeVoe, and see if I can get this vocal clip into another song, or whatever it is. And that's the fun part of the music side of it. So it's there are some skills that I'm learning, because you just watch people and you go, wow, that's really cool. I would like to learn how to do that. But a lot of what I like is just the musical side of it, just having a music background. I really like kind of hopping around from genre to genre and kind of doing some of the studying of that.
There's an interesting comment here from a different Adam Bozak, saying you got to base your selections on what the crowd is giving you, not pre-planning sets, but prep is key. That just made me, think of something interesting. What is it like to feel the vibe change or the energy change when you're DJing in front of a large crowd of people? Even as you say, I'm an introvert, I'm not there to be in the club. But you can still probably feel the energy change compared to when you are right there on the sidelines at the Madhouse and the energy changes with a big momentum swing in a basketball game.
Right.
I can feel it in a game, and I don't know if I have a great grasp of it, because I haven't done this very much. I've just got back into it this past summer, so that's been like a really cool, scary, insecure thing to learn again. Is like, how do I read what this person wants or what the energy is shifted like here, and like that's fun. But it's really nerve-wracking, like trying to read a crowd or read a room and be like, oh, they like this, let's see if I can give them more of this, or wow, this is going on way too long, I need to cut out of this or move to a different part of a song so that like the energy doesn't drop too much. Like and going to see some of the real professionals do this live, and why they're so good is they know how to program the right song at the right time by looking at the people who are in this corner of the room. Let me give them something. In that corner of the room, who are in the middle of the dance floor, they seem to really be set. Let me kind of focus on it's fascinating watching people who really know how to do this. It's like any other job. When you see somebody in their element do something that they know, like, they're really good at, and you can kind of sense it, like, it's really fun to watch other people do it. So for me, I'm still new at that, and it's nerve-wracking, and it's again another cool like challenge.
What's the go-to song for you? What's the one you playing no matter what?
Oh,
you putting
man.
that joint on, man.
I mean,
please say Alicia Myers.
If I like playing the Percolator, never goes bad in Chicago. Admittedly, like it's like I have a whole just folder of just Chicago, like house and juke and like stuff like that. There's just what's on that I bet list. You could probably guess 2 or 3 easily, and it's just like anytime you're in Chicago and you play one of these, I feel like a crowd really will go over. It'll go over very well with a crowd. So
no question at all.
All right, we'll take our first break here. When we come back, we'll actually start getting some of Adam's thoughts on what's going on with our beloved Bulls. While we are sharing these words from our friends and sponsors, do us a quick, simple favor. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching along on YouTube. Give our guy Adam Amin some of that love in the form of upward trajectory-shaped thumbs. We love those thumbs, folks. And if you aren't already, go ahead and subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. What's so funny, Dave?
No, keep going. I'm with you.
Today's show is brought to you in part by our dear friends at Goose Island Beer Company.
Beer.
Chicago's beer since 1988. They have an impeccable beer roster, including this right here, Goose IPA, that I'm enjoying on this Wednesday afternoon.
Feeling that?
A 6-time gold medal winner.
It's a lot of rings.
At the Great American Beer Fest. The Michael Phelps of IPAs. Always in style, citrus aroma, and a bold hop finish. Plus, the even more potent and delicious Beer Hug line. You got the Neon Beer Hug, the Hazy Beer Hug, the Tropical Beer Hug. Watch yourself with those. One will send you a good long way because they're all like 8, 9.5%, 10%.
Facts.
Big Dave calls
the
them
Lawrence. The Herb Lawrence. The Herb Lawrence.
Goose Island beers.
He chugged 3 of them.
That he does.
In under a minute.
And after every Cubs W, you get to watch our pal Coby chug out of a beer bat a delicious, crispy 312 wheat ale.
He does that.
And then there's me and Big Dave's personal favorites, the Full Pocket Pills. New this year, the everyday beer. It's what the brewers are drinking, and it's what those of us who want to be cool like brewers drink. To drink like what the brewers are drinking.
Yeah.
So grab yourself an ultra fresh brewery exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Ave in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room right around the corner here on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer.
That's what it is. Cheers to you. After you drink your beer, though, as I already broke wheel. Because I'm coming right to the GOAT to talk about the perfectly coiffed king over there. That young man got to have that AG1 in the system.
Every day.
Got to have it. You can't just come out the house looking amazing like that. You can't come out writing all the things that he does so awesomely. You can't come out looking like Maverick from Top Gun without your AG1. True. You got to have it. And who sells this? He knows this.
It gets more ridiculous every day.
But I've told no lies. These are all facts. Man, if I lied, man.
I've never heard you lie once in my life.
Not one time. It's not what I do. Not what I do. Get outrageous, but I'm not going to lie to you. He's awesome. And he's awesome because he loves the AG1, just like everyone should love their AG1, because it's a lot of things that you can also drink with that AG1, but none of them are going to give you those vitamins. None of them are going to give you those nutrients. None of them are going to give you the Lord have mercy adaptogens. You got to have them all. Those 75 high-quality ingredients, y'all. The energy, the focus, the strength, and the clarity. are all wonderful things you will get with your AG1. Will, you had your AG1 this morning?
You know it.
Will you have your AG1 tomorrow?
You know it.
Oh, don't stop.
There's a reason I don't want to look at him. It's because he's glowing. It's a mesmerizing
Massage
man
some
when
of
he
it in
walks.
my face, my hair.
Again,
It
Will,
doesn't make you glow green like Alphaba. It just makes you glow.
No, it's just like a healthy.
Beautiful.
I meant like a not
a
a
healthy
nuclear
glow. Right.
green glow.
Not a
It's a
toxic
healthy,
Avenger, yes.
a healthy glow.
Yes.
Turn into the Hulk.
turns into the Hulk. See, Will, no lies, just ridiculous.
That's a lie.
No lies, just ridiculous, sir. So if a comprehensive solution is what you need for your supplement routine, then try AG1. Get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 of those free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. All you do is go to drinkag1.com. CHGO Bulls. That's drinkag1.com. CHGO Bulls. And check it out because it's AG1, y'all. You scoop it, you dump it, you shake it, you drink it. Then what you do, GOAT?
You feel it.
That's what you do. I made that up, Adam.
That was really strong.
We haven't
All
done
across
that one
the
in a
board.
while.
I know
That was
it's been a
very
minute.
good all across the
AG1
board.
back in the rotation, baby.
Back in there. Be ready, Sarah. You know I'm coming to you.
Yes, Dave. I also drank my AG1s this morning.
Oh, Lord.
Thanks for asking.
I'm proud of you, Matt. Did you drink it yesterday?
Every day, baby.
Every day.
Every day.
You ain't missed since you started.
Yeah.
My man.
I'm going camping this weekend. You know I'm bringing me some travel packs.
All right. I'm proud of you, man.
You want to know what Dave did for me the other week before I went out to California?
What did he do?
It was the last show that we did, and I was leaving the office, and I was like, all right, I'll see you guys in a week, you know, giving him a big hug because we love Dave, big hugs. And as I'm walking out, he goes, Will, I got something for you. And it was just a giant box full of travel packs.
Oh.
He just knew what I needed. It's
very sweet.
In that very moment.
Wait, you got a secret stash of
He got a
travel
secret
packs?
stash for
Don't
me.
worry about how I do things.
Yeah.
Just know it's love involved.
That's
all.
how I know you still got
That is
a secret
greatness.
12-pack of that
That is
Goose No Plans
sportsmanship.
hiding in your house somewhere.
First of all, you think that thing can still be around? that no plans will be
Maybe
out
you're
of there.
rationing them.
That thing will be out of there, buddy. I promise you that.
If I ever see you drinking one of those again, I'm coming at you.
You should, because I'll have one for you.
You better.
Yeah, here you go, man.
freaking better.
Charging at me with your hat in your hand, ready to throw it. Take this right
There it is.
here.
I was waiting for it. I was wondering when it would come, and it
He don't disappoint.
427
There's
was when it came.
427, right.
Wondering when it was
Few and far
going to come.
between
Time of hat,
in the
427.
Time of that. TOH.
TOH, 427.
If I'm throwing hats in late July, early August, it's a problem.
It
But
is.
It still happens
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's right. We don't know if it's happy or sad now. It's just a part of you, man.
Okay, Adam. Let's start with guys who are still here because of some moves this offseason. Nikola Vucevic and Coby White, and much more recently, Ayo Dosunmu, all signing new deals to stick around. Hashtag continuity. Are you glad to see all three of those guys back? Are you surprised to see any of those three back? I think most everything we heard sounded like the Bulls and Vooch, though they didn't get that extension done a year ago, were working together to get that done. Some people weren't sure if Coby was going to flirt around and get a better deal somewhere, and the same thing with Ayo.
I think the biggest surprise was Coby because I wasn't sure what the level of investment was going to be for him, and I didn't know what the market was going to be for a player like Coby because you've and again I'm not saying anything that that any of you don't already know. Just kind of seeing the ups and downs over the course of the 4 years he'd been in Chicago, trying to figure out what is his role, where is his strength, where is the spot that he feels most comfortable in. And the team and the organization feels most comfortable in. And then you also have to figure out what does he want? Mm-hmm. What does he want to do in terms of being on the floor? What number of minutes? What kind of role are we looking at? So he was the one that was most surprising to me. Not because I didn't think he would want to come back or that he shouldn't come back. Mm-hmm. I just didn't know what the market was going to be for Coby. I'm really happy that he's back, especially based on the last 70%, 65% of the season that we saw where he really hit this major growth and jumped, I think, probably as much as he had at any point in the first 4 years, right? Like, we know I think his three-point shooting has taken a little bit of a step back, although he's still a very streaky shooter, so at his best, he can have a really solid 3, 4, 5 game run, carry you for a couple of weeks with his shooting.
That's true.
But it was probably the most growth, the biggest jump that we had seen from him at any point. as a playmaker, and I think defensively as well, because you really started to see him take on the challenge of trying to guard some of the higher level scorers on opposing teams. You saw him be a little bit more aggressive, but smartly aggressive as a defender, trying to jump into passing lanes and get steals that way. I liked his aggressiveness going to the paint a little bit more because he seemingly felt a lot more comfortable with his handle. You know, we kept plugging Johnny Dribble too much, his handles coach, who, you know, he worked with and has worked with a bunch of other NBA guys as well. He's obviously has done some very good work. And Coby's comfort level clearly just, it went up in a very quick exponential manner in just a short period of time. So I thought what he did was really pleasant as a surprise, and I was really happy that the Bulls were able to stick with him, because what you're hoping for now is that he starts to that the trajectory stays a little bit steeper for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. When we were coming in, we talked about the question I had asked yesterday about Coby White. You kind of wanted to get into that. Just where do you feel Coby White is where he should be, even if he shows himself to be the best point guard on his team? Do you feel like if that's the case, he should be the starter? Or if that's the case, he still is a better fit coming off the bench, a la like a guy like Ben Gordon, who I thought was the best guard.
Sure.
But obviously fit better coming off the bench.
I think it's going to have a lot to do with what the personnel looks like early. And the other element to this, and this is for any point guard, and you can talk about this at the highest levels with Chris Paul going to Golden State. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this, because
I forget that that's a real thing.
It's a real thing. That's a thing that happened in the last 2 months. That Chris Paul plays with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson.
So we're in the upside down.
Yeah, it was a very interesting offseason.
Yeah. But
the biggest problem that we've seen with the Bulls, and and it's not even a problem. When Lonzo Ball was healthy, we saw how everybody kind of gelled together, right? Sure. You need a crux. You need a glue guy, whatever that glue guy does for you. And for this particular group, I think you need to have a playmaker, ball handler, and proper distributor, meaning right time, right situation to the right guy. I don't know what it's going to take for Coby White to earn the respect. I'm not saying he's being disrespected. I'm saying to be in that position where if it's 2.5 minutes left in a 4-point game and the next 4 possessions you absolutely need to score to make sure you're in the best position possible to win the game, are DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine going to trust Coby White to make the right play, to get them in the right set, to set up the defense to create the best matchup possible? And are they going to be able to corral all the emotion that comes with being in those tight moments where they've thrived for good portions of time, both LaVine and especially DeRozan? They're the clutch guys. But what do we see all the time? A lot of ISO ball, And I'm not saying it doesn't work or can't work, but you have to have some level of versatility to your offense, even in tight game situations. And I think earning the respect of the guys around him, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take consistent play. And I wonder if maybe that's why Coby White will start the season as the guy coming off the bench with the second unit, but as the point guard. To say you are the ball handler for this second unit, whether it's you, Caruso, Patrick Williams runs with the second unit for a little while as well in a stagger. Ayo maybe plays the 2 guard instead of running the point. Take a little bit of pressure off him. Maybe he can focus a little bit more on defense, where there is still, I think, a lot of positive there. There's a lot of different things that we can figure out, but it's going to take fast, consistent reps and some trust in tight game situations, and you can't predict when you're going to get those opportunities.
It's really interesting you bring that up, because we were sitting here doing a post-game show after their Game 2 play-in loss to Miami, and a lot of Bulls fans were saying, why the heck was Coby White not on the floor late in that game when you need a bucket? Billy Donovan was asked at the end of the season about Coby's future before he had even re-signed to stick around, saying, can he be this team starting point guard next season? Can he compete for that role in training camp? And Billy kind of gave a waffling answer that sounded optimistic but still far from certain. And then we were just talking on our show yesterday about the fact that one of the biggest reasons the Bulls went from 6th seed to losing their way out of the play-in is they went from winning a lot of tight games 2 years ago to losing a lot of tight games this past season. And who is that floor general down the stretch of these close games?
Yeah, and I think Jevon Carter, you bring him in for two reasons: one, to handle, one, and two, to play defense. He is a dog on defense, as we've seen many times. Proviso East guy, like, really did a great job in his role in Milwaukee, and obviously wants to expand that as a starter. I also think that you have an improved defender, not a great defender yet, but a good, improving defender in Coby White, an elite defender in Alex Caruso, a defender in Ayo that I do think can give you something, especially maybe not against the number one guard on an opposing team, or maybe not guards that are necessarily bigger than him. Like, he did well against, like, the Trae Youngs of the world, guys that he can outmatch a little bit physically, because Ayo plays with a really good level of physicality, but there's some guys that are just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and I think he had some struggles with some of those players. But there are a lot of guys where he can do well against, and I think if you can formulate a really good second unit with Drummond, somebody as your stretch four, maybe, again, I would love to see Patrick Williams stay in the game after some of the starters have come out, because I imagine he's still your starting four. Stay in the game and stagger with some of the bench guys, and maybe come up with a defensive unit that could be really, really good, right? If Coby continues to improve, Caruso you have as an elite level guy. Carter's a really solid defender. Torrey Craig's a really good defender at his best. His numbers have gone down the last couple of years, but a couple of years ago, Phoenix, Milwaukee, like the teams would use him as a defensive stopper on certain guys in certain stretches of games. So I think this could, and Drummond, while he's not the best rim protector, he's a steal a game guy for 1,000+ games in his career. That's really hard to get from that position. So just at least some awareness defensively. I think you have options to create different types of lineups, but you're going to have to manage ego, you're going to have to manage reps, you're going to have to manage minutes, you're going to have to manage tight game situations, and you're going to have to put the right guys on the floor. And I think that's why Billy Donovan's job this year is as important as maybe any of the years that he's been with this organization, because there's going to be more management of the personnel that this team is going to be running with seemingly this year.
It's true.
You've been talking about the defense. You've been talking about Coby and his growth. I'm curious because I'm jealous. You get to sit courtside. You got the best seat in the house. But I think that also gives you an opportunity to kind of hear what the players are saying, to sort of have a better view and understanding of the communication that needs to go on in order to execute at a top 5 defensive level, which they did last year. Maybe it's Coby. Maybe it's just anybody on the roster in general. Has anybody really impressed you the way that they've, like, communicated, quarterback the defense? And maybe with Coby specifically, have you kind of noticed growth on that end, and just what you can hear and see from that close up?
It's frustrating at times, honestly, and I know Stacey's talked about this too, where it's a very at times at its worst last year, and more so early in the season than late, but it is a theme for this team. They're a very quiet team. It's not a loud, communicative defensive group. They were just really, I think they were talented at a lot of different spots, and guys played very well at times, and that allowed them to be a better defensive team. But, and again, when Beverly got there, he was a communicator. He was a guy, obviously. Like, again, we're not saying anything that you guys don't already know. It was so obvious to see how much of a difference a player like Beverly made on the defense, not because he's that much more athletic or that much better or that much more aggressive than anybody else you're going to put out there, but he is a relentless worker, and he was a communicator, and that made it easier. Alex Caruso, it's so obvious the difference that he makes when he's on the floor, and you can hear him when he's off the floor as well. And I would love to see that be an attribute of Patrick Williams a little bit more. I think he's a great kid. He's a great teammate to have. If you're a veteran player, like, that's the kind of younger player you want, because he's going to take your words to heart. He's going to take teaching to heart. He's going to try to apply it as soon as possible. But you got to talk. Like, you can't, like, the best defensive teams never shut up. Like, they're constantly just, you hear chirping, you hear, it's annoying to hear if you're an opposing team.
And Bulls fans remember harkening back to the days of the Tibbs defense, and Joakim and Luol out there, and 5 guys on a string, and a lot of talking.
And you always heard Tibbs. You always heard every command he would bark out.
Stay up.
And Billy does try to communicate as well, but, like, it needs to be everybody. That's an all or nothing proposition if you have good communication as a team or bad communication as a team, because you can have individuals do it. You can have individuals be loud, be encouraging, be smart in terms of what they're doing to, as you said, quarterback the defense. but it's got to be everybody. You all have to be in on this. Otherwise, you're not. The missing links add up over the course of possessions in an NBA game, especially with the level of pace that we play with in the modern game.
And I also find that so interesting because it doesn't have to be as bombastic as Patrick Beverley was.
Sure.
Lonzo isn't like that. Shout out. Lonzo isn't like that. Lonzo is not a guy who's going to yell at you, but he will communicate to you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? What you're supposed to do. So it doesn't matter the type of communication that has to happen, but it definitely has to be constant. We've seen Ayo try to do it, last year.
Yep.
Where he would pull guys to the side, and speak to them in that way. But I think you're dead on. Like, it just has to be constantly talking to those guys like that. I talk about this all the time when we went to the game in Minnesota and we kind of sat behind you.
Yeah.
And I'm just yelling at Patrick Williams, just positive affirmations, but I'm yelling at him to the point where he turns around like, who is this? And I'm like, it's me, dude. Go dominate. Nobody can stop you, and I'm saying that. And I'm watching the way he played. He actually played really well that game, but it has to be something that is a constant reinforcement, to those guys. And I think that's pretty evident. And I'm hoping guys like Torrey Craig can provide those kind of things. I don't know if Jevon is that kind of guy. I've never really heard it, you know what I'm saying? But we'll find out, obviously. Sure. But I'm hoping that those guys can bring that also. And
listen, you're never going to get it all the time from everybody. But the mentality of it has to be encouraged. And this is the other thing too. I hear our buddy Jason Goff, who's just runs that pregame show so well, and those guys are so much fun to work with. And Jay was saying something along the lines of, like, your best players also have to be your best something else. And sometimes it's your best defender. Sometimes it's your hardest worker. It's the guy that, they have aspects of that. Zach LaVine's probably your best scorer. What else is he the best at? And he's good at a lot of different things. I want him to become the best at something else too.
Right.
And that's when your team.
Whereas you could say with DeMar, best isolation scorer, best footwork scorer, whatever, and then also best work ethic.
Best work ethic, best veteran presence.
Mentor.
Exactly. Like just bring me something else that you can bring to this team, because you guys did a great breakdown the other day of Jaylen Brown's contract compared to Zach LaVine's contract, right? And
he watches our show.
I'm a supporter.
He does his homework is what he does.
Still counts.
Just catching up on what's the most recent thing. I can't tell you what you guys said on May 7th. Don't care.
Can't either.
Admittedly, I don't care that much about what we have to say on May the 7th. But you guys did a great breakdown about just, like, the disparity is pretty obvious now. Zach LaVine's contract does not seem like offensive the way maybe it did a year ago when he signed it, right? He is that I think some of that pressure is going to come off of him. I honestly believe that, because when you're perceived as like, well, you're clearly one of, and it's not like he's not one of the highest paid players in the league, but like that takes a little bit of pressure off of it. Like, maybe that's a stature thing. Maybe the chip on his shoulder is there now a little bit deeper, because like, well, I want more. I want to be paid that much next time, or next time my deal comes around, I still want to be making like that type of top 5, top 10 player money.
Right.
And he wants to go earn it. That's a great thing to have that type of mentality. But I feel like you're paid, man. Your respect is there. And I think people perceive you in a much more positive fashion than maybe even he thinks. I really think people have a high level of respect for his game. Give me something else. Now just take, like, we know you're great. I want to see you be great at something else too. Vucevic, he rebounds. He can have big nights on offense as a scorer. He's a great distributor. I want Zach to just take that next step, because he's capable of it. He's more than willing to do it. I think his work ethic is there. I just want to see it manifest itself on the floor, because if that happens, now you can start to talk about this particular group flirting with this top 6 instead of being a play-in team.
Right. Speaking of which,
it's true.
We'll get Adam's thoughts next on the competition in the East and whether or not the Bulls can get back above that group of play-in teams right after we take this second break. If you haven't done so yet, show our guy Adam Amin some love by hitting that thumbs up button if you're watching along on YouTube.
Do it.
Big Dave, who's next?
Well, Baby Joey wants to go see Adam Amin DJ.
Oh, of course he does. Who doesn't?
Yeah, I told him he can't because he's a baby, but he don't want to listen to me.
You must be this tall to watch Adam
Not
Amin
that
DJ.
much taller than what I am now.
Than an infant, but He still wants to go. He knows
he
people.
does.
That's how he rolls, bro. So he said he's gonna call A-Track and he's gonna see what happens.
Oh, big time.
You know, that's how he rolls, man. Baby Joey, man. Because, you know, when I told him he couldn't go, he didn't get it. Because he said he didn't understand. He don't understand. And you know who else don't get it? Shady Rays. They don't understand why you got to pay so much money to look so damn cool. They say you don't have to do that. You can come holler at us. We're an independent sunglasses company that is just as good as any expensive pair that is put on your face. They offer that world-class product, those durable frames, those extremely clear optics for your outdoor, and as Matt Peck is proving right now, your indoor adventures.
Very nice.
Oh, and also the Matt Peck lost and broken replacements plan. Oh, if the hat was on his head, it would have been thrown again right now.
Already threw it.
Oh, against that wall. And let's say some glasses are on there, and they went splat, and they broke, and they in half. But guess what? Matt can put them into an envelope, send them right back in the Shady Rays. They will send them a brand new pair. Bow. No questions asked. On his face. Amazing stuff. Or let's say you was watching the GOAT with some glasses and you said, damn, he looks mad cool right there.
Always.
I can look that cool. And then you put them glasses on and you realize you cannot because you ain't the GOAT. But you can send those glasses back in and get a pair that matches your awesome face just for you and being your own human being out there just like the GOAT does, y'all. As long as you do it within 30 days, it's free. No risk when you shop, y'all, and they always got your back. So, exclusive for the listeners out there, Shady Rays, giving away the best deal of the season. Go to ShadyRays.com, use the promo code CHGO, 50% off of 2+ pairs of premium polarized shades. Try it for yourself. Oh, the shades that are rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Because the Shady Rays, y'all, well, the Rays are oh so shady.
Oh, so damn shady.
Look at Sarah. It's just like, these dudes are dumb as hell.
I can't believe that these men that I have to watch.
Right. She's like,
People tune in specifically for
It's a
Dave
lot of
Curry
people's
dads.
favorite part of the show.
I think part of the reason it is because I think the rest of us can make, like, it's a very meta joke that I think you guys have found. It's really funny. This is the most engaging ad read I've ever listened. We listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
These are the best ad reads I've ever listened to in my
I
entire
appreciate
life.
that,
These are
man.
phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
This is like Conan O'Brien level of ad
Holy
reads.
shit.
And that's big time. That's a tremendous
huge.
compliment.
Yeah, that's
I
a
promise
huge
you it's a tremendous
That's big
compliment.
time.
Love
So
some
many
Conan.
people who listen to a lot of sports podcasts, when they get that, okay, and here comes that break, you just hit the 15-second fast forward button and hit it and hit it and hit it.
Yeah.
Now, we got to keep the people entertained.
Yeah.
You guys are delightful.
You only
reason
get an
that
hour
right
every
now.
day. You know what else is great for having a pair of Shady Rays around?
Please tell me.
Your future is so freaking bright.
So angry he can't get it out.
I'm so angry I can't get it out. Your
He's
future
upset
is
by how bright your
so
future
bright.
is.
You need sunglasses because you got your degree from Lewis University.
Hey.
Lewis students are just like you. They got full-time jobs. They got families. They have their full-time sports fandom, which, let's be honest, takes number 1 priority.
Lewis volleyball, outstanding.
There you go. Go back to school and earn a respected degree at Lewis University,
Lewis
located
volleyball
just
games?
35 miles
At one point
southwest
I did.
of Chicago in Romeoville. Ranked as one of the U.S.'s News and World Report's top-tier colleges, Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended scheduling formats so you can balance your work life, your sports fan life, and, yes, your family life, plus that education.
Like how you put that third.
Well, you know, again, priorities. Faculty bring real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career. They offer career support and academic resources for their adult students. Maybe you're looking to complete that bachelor's degree you never finished, or get yourself a master's degree, or enroll in a professional certificate program. You can do all of those things and more at Lewis University. They've got the right program for you, whatever you want to study. Maybe it's criminal justice. Maybe it's data science. Maybe it's computer science, software engineering, cybersecurity, business analytics, finance, MBA, project management, all of that. You can even study aviation if you want to. Fly. Fly. Go learn how to fly.
Try it yourself.
Try it yourself. Discover how a degree from Lewis can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/. You can do this. One more time, that's lewisu.edu/ you can do this
All night long.
because you can.
Whoa. Whoa. I wasn't ready for that. That was new. Shout out Shirtless Wonder who's out
Shirtless
here too
Wonder's out
also.
here?
I don't know if you know about Shirtless Wonder.
He's just
Yeah.
hanging out.
Just hanging out. That's our guy, Shirtless Wonder.
I think he's applying
Is he rubbing in
sunscreen.
sunscreen?
Is he?
I
Yeah,
hope he's
think
rubbing.
so.
Oh, no. Oh, man.
Oh, man, he's focused.
Needs him a pair of Shady Rays is what
Yeah,
he
man.
needs.
Well, he's got his heater. The chain is on. So he's doing what he does, man. That's how he rolls. Shout out Shirtless Wonder.
Hey, man, he's not a care in the world. We should all be so lucky.
Oh, I'm telling you. Same thing every time. Same shorts, no shirt, same chain, always a heater. Same guy.
man.
That dude does what he wants.
Yes, he does.
All right, so we were talking earlier about how crazy this NBA offseason has been. Still nobody knows if Harden is going to be a Philadelphia 76er or not. I feel like for the most part the agreed upon tiers start with tier 1 being Milwaukee, Boston in the East.
That's what it feels
Some
like.
people have their doubts about whether or not the whole letting Smart go and bringing in Kristaps is going to pay off for Boston or backfire, but where do you see the Bulls in those tiers of these teams in the East are for sure getting one of these top 6 spots, and then here's the jumble of teams that are going to be fighting to maybe get that 5th or 6th spot or see themselves in the play-in tournament?
I feel like based on the roster, talent, personnel that the Bulls had last year, they significantly underachieved. Is that fair? It seems like a fair assessment based on you have 3, and Drummond too, but like 3 recent all-star players, Vucevic, Levine, and DeRozan. You have 2 or 3 guys that you feel fairly confident in defensively. And
one of them just was named to first team all defense.
first team all defense.
I knew he was going to slide that in. He can't help. He got to big up his guy.
Not wrong.
We stand.
Is
Not
that
mad at
he stands? That's fine. We understand it. And a conference that had a lot of shifting and a lot of uncertainty with new pieces in a lot of different spots. Cleveland, New York in particular, 2 teams that kind of rehauled what their rosters look like based on the stars that they brought in.
Yeah.
So you don't know how that's going to work out because the Cleveland probably feels like they underachieved a little bit. You know, a team that was in the top 3 for a little while and probably could have been in the top 3. Probably felt like, we a little shorter than where we should have been. I bet the Knicks feel the same way. I know Knicks fans do. So if that's the tier that we're talking about, there's no reason the Bulls shouldn't be in that mix. Pipe dream to me, I think, like best case scenario, you have a great season. Health is fairly consistent. You don't lose Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, Caruso for significant portions of the time. And
They were pretty lucky in that regard last season.
Pretty good health wise. I'm thinking, you don't miss more than 10 games if you're any of those guys. Those guys all play at least 72 to 75 games. Then this is probably a team that could finish 5th. Why not? Okay, I don't think they're better than Boston based on the current iteration of the roster, and maybe it doesn't work out. Who knows? Milwaukee, I still think, is in its window. It's closing, but they're still in it, and I think they'll continue to make moves.
Middleton's still there. Brought Brook Lopez back.
If they have a good season and they're in the top 2 or top 3, they'll be a contender at the trade. And if they're a contender at the trade deadline, they'll make a move. And then somebody's going to want to go play with Giannis because they'll think they have a good shot at actually making a run to the finals and winning a title. So that's still the top tier. I don't know what to think about Philadelphia. I don't know what to think about Miami because of what they lost off their bench.
I'll tell you, they'll be trash.
I'm
confidently projecting that they will be trash.
I shouldn't even say
finals team.
I shouldn't even say off their bench. Fake finals team. Jimmy Butler had one of the greatest runs. All those guys had
Never happened, Adam.
Played out of their minds.
Never happened.
Max Strus had the run of a lifetime. Gabe Vincent. I shouldn't even call him a bench guy. He became a starter midway through the season.
Yes, he did.
So but without those guys, that's a lot to replace. The hunger alone of those 2 guys who had a lot of adversity and were underrated and overlooked. Who knows what they're going to look like. So there's no reason the Bulls can't be in the mix for, let's say, the 5. Worst case scenario, you should be in a play-in situation. Worst. And that's with you lose Zach LaVine for 40 games.
Right.
You lose DeMar DeRozan for 25 or 30 games somehow, which never happens, by the way.
Yeah.
Catastrophe hits at some point. Much like, again, the ball injury, to me, that's what the level of catastrophic we're talking about, where you lose a guy and it completely derails what your team is supposed to be.
Yeah.
They've added depth, so maybe you can afford to, it's a very guard-heavy roster right now. If you lose a guard, maybe you'll be okay. But worst case scenario, just talent-wise, you should be in the play-in mix. And that's if things go bad. I think this is still a team that 6 doesn't feel like you're overshooting at this point. And that's being a conservative trying to be logical and maybe take a step back from a little bit of the fandom too and being overly conservative, I think they're a 6 seed.
Who, in your opinion, do you think is that? Because every season there's a monkey wrench kind of team. You can have it lined up about who you think is going to be where, and then there's always a team that just jumps into it and throws it off. Who do you feel is that team for you? Is it the Bulls, or is it another team that you're looking at can really jump up?
I think other teams would look at the Bulls as a potential wrench to throw in there that would mix some things up. Obviously, I don't think the Bulls view themselves as that. I don't think the Bulls should view themselves as that, but I'm sure every person that is connected to any type of fan base or any type of organization would think, because they know it a little bit more intimately, the assumption is, well, I know that this team's better than they are, so we shouldn't perceive them as a team worse than they are. Now, you got the delightful shirt on.
Shout out Horace.
The Pistons and the Orlando Magic, I think, are two teams. I don't think they're going to be in a top 6 situation, but they could fight Miami if Miami struggles the way you think they might. Fight them for a 7, fight them for an 8. They could take Cleveland from maybe a 5 seed to a 7, something like that. Like, you could really get tossed into this mix of teams just based on talent alone that you're developing and creating like an environment for. I think Detroit's roster has gotten so much better just in 2 years with this young talent. Orlando's roster has gotten a lot better with the talent that they've brought in and how quickly they're developing. I don't know if they're going to be like a team to beat, but the games that those teams would lose last year, the same way the Bulls we were kind of talking about, they won all these close games and they lost them.
Right.
It's very hard it's very hard for 2 years, unless you're just bad or really, really good, to have a run where you're always winning close games or always losing close games.
True.
So I think that flips a lot of the time, and I think the Magic and the Pistons are two teams that are viable options to kind of mess things up in the Eastern Conference. Not necessarily to steal a playoff spot, but maybe steal a play-in spot from a team.
We got a super chat from our guy AK, who said Bulls certainly underachieved, especially with Io's play, ball after the season, Zach's knee surgery. Bulls have to start strong and not fall below 10 games under 500. Bulls should win 43-46. Thanks for the super chat, AK. I saw somebody else earlier, I think it was our guy, Coby, saying, oh, wow, 5th place, mediocrity at its finest. What do you say to those Bulls fans who, and, it's your job to sit there and call these games, so, you don't have necessarily the same perspective as Bulls fans who listen to Arturas Karnisovas say something like, we don't want to accept mediocrity, we don't want to be a mediocre team, and if you're saying, hey, if this core stays healthy, there's nothing preventing them from reaching the 5th or 6th seed, and Bulls fans saying, well, that's mediocre. So why didn't they trade Zach LaVine if they were getting offers this season? Why didn't they maybe shop around DeMar and Alex Caruso, who could certainly bring back some value, and just start over if 5 or 6 is the best you can strive for?
I don't think that's the best you can be. I think that's the most reasonable, logical way to look at it. Because if they suddenly win all the close games and they're a 50-win team rather than a 43-win team,
which they were on their way to being,
now you start talking. But I'm not the type of person who can make that leap mentally. I need to see it consistently because for the reason that you said, you guys have the choice of turning it off, and you could come back 2 weeks later and see, oh, they won 4 out of 7 or 4 out of 6, and now they jumped into the 5 spot. Now let's start to think about going into top 3 territory. Right. I have to take this for my own mental stability and to keep the season in perspective of 82 games. I have to wait for things to happen a little bit at a little bit of a slower pace. So I understand when you hear me say, well, if there's no reason they shouldn't be the 5, and you're like, well, that's terrible. Yeah, by your standards, it should be terrible. You're a fan. You're supposed to want more. I, of course, want more, but I also don't have the choice of turning it off.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can watch the first week of the season and then come back in late March and see what happened if you want to.
As long as you're still watching our postgame.
As long as you don't have to watch a game if you don't want to. I have to watch every possession, and I got to make sure that I'm seeing something that is sustainable. Yeah. That's the biggest thing for just me in my position. So anytime I talk about this team, feel free to take it with a grain of salt or a grain of sugar, whatever you want to. You want to take it for more than it is, or you want to dismiss it for less than it is, totally fine. I'm just letting you know from my perspective, I have to take it game to game, and I'm constantly looking for 2 weeks at a time. And then does it connect to the previous 2 weeks or not?
Right.
Here's this 2 weeks. They played much better. Are we seeing an improvement based on the previous 2 weeks? Is there something here that's sustainable, that's able to be built upon itself so that when you do get to mid-March, you can start to think about, the hope is that you are thinking about, well, let's think about home court advantage in a second round series now. Like that's what you want to, that's the idea you want to get to. And that also goes for me in terms of like the long-term aspect of this team.
Yeah.
Like I'm not assuming that they're going to make a leap based on the lack of moves or kind of worried more about the periphery than the core. Like I'm not expecting them to make a leap to become the number 2 seed all of a sudden.
Yeah,
but if they start to do the things that they need to do to win games, and now you're stacking these up, and now you get to February, March, post All-Star break, and you're like, all right, maybe this is a team that could fight for number 3. Now we'll get there when we get there. But you guys don't have to take that course, and that there's nothing wrong with that. That's
They don't.
Totally fine.
But we have
Again,
to watch
I'm
all
saying for
48.
you guys too.
I'm
Yeah,
excited
you guys
to take
with
that
it too.
course.
Yeah.
You
I
use
love
this
taking that
phrase
course.
mental stability, Adam. As someone else who also watches all 48, all 82, do you have any secrets you could share?
He needs help.
I was at my wit's end coming to the All-Star break.
So when I was
last
12
year.
years old, I got this CD for my birthday, and then my brother bought me a turntable. Why do you think I do this bullshit?
That's
Why do you
what
think
it
I
is?
do this?
Okay.
I need a break from the. You know that scene in Wolf of Wall Street when McConaughey is telling
man.
Leo DiCaprio at lunch, and he's obviously like coked out of his mind.
Yeah.
But he's like but right before this, right before he does this, he starts telling him like it's like you're working with numbers, digits, a little mustard base acid, and he's like doing the noises. When we get to a certain point of the year, like that's what happens.
Yeah.
And it just the numbers and the constant like reading of it and trying to process it is too much. So that's my advice. Find a hobby that you can do for 30 minutes at a time and then get out of there.
The hat.
The hat.
I'm gonna
get
get it.
strong, durable hats.
Yes.
That you can throw constantly.
Or get into a canoe and occasionally paddle, which is my plan this weekend.
This is
That'll
true.
be great.
This is true.
That'll be
Summer
great.
tech is a
That's
whole
the mental
different guy.
stability
Completely off the
we
ball.
seek.
Can I ask you real quick? Do you have any opinion on the mid-season tournament that they're going to be starting this year?
I don't know how to feel about it just yet. I like that they're thinking about it. It's very confusing. It's going to get easier because, again, if you're a fan of European soccer, I'm not like a huge fan of it, but I play FIFA. Right?
Yeah.
That's about it. You
That's
play
as far
those
as you can go.
again Tuesdays and Saturdays. Oh, this has a little bit of a different meaning to this particular thing. You won't notice it for the most part.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think that most fans will notice it. I'm thinking about ways to like, all right, how can our production crew kind of deliver this news? Oh, it's Tuesday night. Remember that these are the 3 teams that the Bulls are in a group with.
With updates on the tables when once it's
we're
underway.
just trying to think of ways like how do we do that? How do we figure that out? And we'll try to make it as simple as possible because right now it seems very complex. It's not. It won't be. And for the most part, you'll kind of know what you need to know when you need to know it.
Okay.
And then I do think it'll add a little bit more of an element, but it's not going to happen this year. Like you're not going to feel like a certain level of excitement this year. You may not even feel it next year. I think in 3 or 4 years, if this works and they keep it going and fans start to be like, all right, this is interesting. It doesn't have to be everything. It doesn't have to be the greatest change to the sport. It's just something to add, and hopefully it'll be less confusing for fans as it goes on, and we as a broadcast crew are going to try to just keep it as simple as it needs to be.
Okay.
Sadly, we are out of time. The hours fly every time we get a chance to chat with our guy, Adam Amin. You can follow him on the socials at Adam Amin. Check out his DJing stuff. It's awesome. Enjoy the precious remaining days before things get real
10
busy
days
for
away
you.
from Bears preseason, man.
You said you're also doing USA basketball for the World Cup?
So, they got the FIBA World Cup coming up. Their showcase before the tournament actually starts is coming up on Monday. So, I'm going to be out in Vegas with Bill Raftery, which is a scary, fun premise to throw out there. But, yeah, we'll see. I'll go get to see Mikal Bridges and Paulo Banchero and some of the guys.
Our guy Bobby Portis
basketball.
also
Bobby
playing
Portis
on that
is on the
team.
roster. So it'll be fun to see some of the guys, that you see during the season in a different setting.
Very cool. And, of course, always be tuned in when Adam's on the call. MLB on Fox, NFL on Fox.
Yeah.
Woo! We're close to playoff baseball. We are close to NFL football. And then, when a fresh bowl season rolls around,
Looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm just taking it for granted. I assume you and Stacey are back next season.
Yeah. We're getting ready. We're getting ready for
right.
you. Unless you heard if you heard something that I haven't.
No,
please.
I'm just saying if you ever leave us local Chicago because you got bigger and better things on the horizon, I'm tracking you down and not letting you leave.
Please just inform me if you know something more than I do, and please let any representation know as well, so I can ask some questions that I may need to ask.
Everybody in the comments, throw Adam some love, throw us the thumbs ups. We appreciate it. Everybody here in the comments has enjoyed having you, Adam. We have always enjoyed catching up with you.
Boys.
Until tomorrow, we will be back 4:30 Central Time tomorrow for another show. Will is on Twitter at Will_Gottlieb. Big Dave, Bow, BWL Sports on Bulls_Pack. We are CHGO_Bulls. Yeah. Shout out and thanks to our wonderful producer, Sarah, on the controls today. We'll talk to you next time. This man, Adam Amin, right here.
That's him.
Telling y'all to see red and be good.